So had a very frustrating day yesterday with the tractor. I ran out of fuel. One of those jobs that I need to get around to is fixing all the instruments on this tractor so I have a fuel gauge. But anyway, as you can see, all the guards are off at the moment. So bleeding the fuel on this tractor is relatively easy. There is a fuel filter down there and there's a bung at the top of it, so you undo that and you wait till the fuel, which is gravity fed from the tank, which is up here, down to there. Once it comes out, then you turn that, tighten that back up, and then you come up here to the fuel pump and you basically undo that there, the fuel lead, and then turn the tractor over until fuel comes out there, and that's pretty much all you need to do to bleed the fuel. And once you got there, you can start the tractor. Basically in a minute or so it clears out, so that's all fine. So did all that. The problem was that there is no fuel coming down to the fuel filter. There's a hose that goes up there, and I took that off where the inlet into the fuel filter is. No fuel's coming out. So that's very frustrating. Now look on the other side here. You can see there's the petcock and the bottom of the fuel and tank there. There's just no room to get your hand in there to do anything, and I was hoping to pull the hose off, but anyway. So we got to pull the fuel tank out, and obviously clearly the fuel tank, the bottom of the fuel tank and the petcock was all blocked up and not letting no fuel out. So basically all this has to come off to get the fuel tank out. Which is not a problem, but it's got 40 litres of fuel in it at the moment, so first thing we're going to have to do is get the fuel out. So went to the local store today and bought a pump. So let's start by pumping the fuel out of the fuel tank. So this is a siphoning fuel pump, so basically you just pump it and get it going, and as long as the outlet is below the tank, it siphons the rest out. It's basically the cheapest of the kind at the local automotive store. You can see here I'm actually helping it along. The siphon is quite slow, but by pumping it, it speeds it up horrendously. The major mistake I did here was that the hose is quite curly and it didn't actually sit in right at the bottom of the fuel tank, so there was still quite a bit of fuel left in the tank. So now that we got all the diesel out of the diesel tank, the next job is to take all the cowling off, so then hopefully we can pull the diesel tank out. The good news is that if I can't get the diesel tank out because of the safety frame, I only need to lift the tank up a little bit here, you know, that's probably 50 mil, to get my hand underneath to actually get the petcock out and then clean it out that way. So if we can't get the diesel tank out, it's not the end of the world. So it's just 6 bolts to get that fuel tank loose. Interesting, this will be one of the reasons why the fuel sender doesn't work. There's nothing connected to it. And you can probably see the huge wiring mess got down here. This tractor needs a complete rewire, which is on the list of things to do. So anyway, let's get this fuel system sorted. So I've lifted the tank up as much as I can, and yep, the safety frame's in the way. That's alright. I've got more than enough room now to get in there and get my hand in. I'll pull that hose off, and then we can turn the petcock off, take the petcock completely out. Well, that was a disaster. Clearly there was quite a bit of fuel left in the tank that I thought there was a little upstand, but it wasn't. And basically there's like 10 litres left in there. So right, let's go check this petcock out and see what we can find wrong with this. Well, that's the problem. That was what was in the petcock. You can actually see through there now. You can see the light shining in it. See light clearly. So that was the reason. It was blocked up with rust. What I have got here is a piece of tubing that I'm actually going to stick in through the petcock like that and cut it up a bit so that any rust in the bottom tank won't actually go down, and that'll help keep the whole system clear until I actually completely clean the tank out and take the safety clamp off, which is a completely another job. At this stage we're just trying to get the tractor going again. Of course, don't have my knife because it's over in the shed. Doesn't need to be much. Just about that enough above the tank. Cool. So that's our fix. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to put a new piece of hose on here. So I've got some 8mm fuel hose. So it is a bit, it's got a much thicker wall, but the inside down is the same, so that should work. So it's really a matter of just cutting the right length. So here I'm just putting a bit of Teflon tape around the petcock before I screw it into the bottom of the tank. And yes, the struggle was actually quite real to get this thing in and screwed up. So I got the petcock back installed there, you can see. I now just need to hook the hose up, put the clamp on and drop the tank down. So after some struggle, hose connected to the petcock with clamp done up. So now taking the blocks of wood out and dropped it down, and then putting the 6 bolts back into the tank to secure it back to the tractor. So here I'm filling up the diesel tank with some diesel, and Reese turns up with his clamp to remove the fuel filter, which seemed to be stuck. This was a bit of a problem because the petcock doesn't actually turn off, so as soon as Reese pulled the fuel filter out, fuel kept flowing. Anyway, we got the new filter on pretty quickly, and but clearly what I'm going to have to do is replace the petcock with a new one so that it does actually close off when you want to replace the fuel filter. So there we go, she's all fixed. Well, that part's semi-fixed anyway. But I'm not going to put all the covers back on because I'm actually going to put this into the workshop for the winter, and we're going to do a few fix-ups on her, things I've been meaning to do. So number one is that I am going to take the safety frame off and actually clean that fuel tank out properly. You know, one of the big things I found with putting that back was the petcock doesn't actually work, so it will pull the tank out, replace the petcock and clean the tank out as well. So that means the safety frame comes off, has to come off. We have an oil leak around, the main only oil leak I have. There's a crack in this oil fill neck here. It's aluminium, so we're going to get that, replace that. That's pretty much the only oil leak on this tractor. We do have a power steering leak out of the front main hydraulic ram. It's way under here. You can see it's a bit greasy, but it's actually leaks quite a bit out of the hydraulic ram. But to do that, I need to take the front end loader off the tractor. So before I can do that, I need to get some caps so I can cap the hydraulic rams off, and then we can take the front end loader off, and take the front end loader off, then we can take the safety frame off. So that's another thing. I want to fix these steps. Wiring, there's a lot of wiring that needs to be fixed. As you can see, it is a mess. The only thing that really works is it starts and stops, but that's it. Nothing, no other electronics work, so that all needs to be looked at, and probably one of the major other things. Other than that, there's a few other minor things I want to do with it, like I replace the cables to the battery terminal, so this is just about gone. The battery needs a proper hold down. The positive is actually a bit short, that's why it's on the corner. Yeah, it needs to come forward, and then just a general tidy up, and I might even paint it. So yeah, that'll be in the coming videos. We'll start looking at tidying this tractor up a little bit. So in all this, the plan will be there will be a fuel gauge, an oil pressure gauge, and a thermostat as well. So that'll be hugely appreciative if I've got those going. Make sure we don't run out of diesel again.